Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key on Millions.co. We have just eclipsed a milestone on Keytime Sports. We have over 300,000 views, so thank you to everybody that has been watching the show every day so faithfully and keeping everybody a word of mouth. Now, let's get to the team that I am going to talk about at hand, and that is the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Golden State Warriors are a team that has been a little bit of a flash in the pan this season, and I'm really not going. I really don't expect much from them when it comes to them, even if they do qualify for the playoffs. But as of right now, the Golden State Warriors, they are in the play-in tournament, and if the play-in tournament was to start today, the Golden State Warriors would be facing the Portland Trailblazers, and the majority of NBA fans would pick the Warriors to win that. But now what I want to do is go to their roster. Now, here's who is all on their roster this season. So they have Jimmy Butler, LJ Cryer, Seth Curry, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Al Horford, Mavy Leons, D. Anthony Milton, Moses Moody, Gary Payton II, Brand Podziski, Kristaps Porzingis, Quentin Post, Will Richard, Guy Santos, and Pat Spencer. The head coach is Steve Kerr. Now, Steve Kerr is in the last year of his current contract, and after this season, he doesn't have any more years on his contract. So, is Steve Kerr on his way out the door, or will the Golden State Warriors restructure a new contract? Well, give him a contract extension. There's a lot of questions that are going on with the Golden State Warriors because Steve Kerr, he's been with Golden State for over, I'm going to say for over 10 years now. He started in 2015. Now it is 2015, and now it is 2026, and you have a roster that is barely yet holding on. You still have Steph Curry, but Steph Curry, he is starting to get into his late stages of his 30s, and now bench production for Golden State, it is hit and miss most nights, and Jimmy Butler, he is out for a significant amount of time. And outside of Steph Curry, who do you have as your leading scorer when we go to statistics? And these statistics, we all know that we have Steph Curry as the leading scorer at 27.2 points per game. Jimmy Butler, 20 points per game. Jonathan Kuminga, he's no longer on the team, so they need to update these player stats. So 12.1 points while Jonathan Kuminga was on the Warriors. B. Podziski, 12 points. D. Melton, 11.7. Moses Moody, 11.5. D. Green, 8.6. Buddy Hield is not on the team no more, but when he was on the team, he averaged 8 points. Quentin Post, 7.7. Al Horford, 7.6. Seth Curry, 7 points. Will Richard, 6.6. Pat Spencer, 6.3. Guy Santos, 5.7. Gary Payton II, 5.3. T. Jackson Davis, 4.2. LJ Cryer, 2 points. And M. Leons, 1.2. So Golden State, Golden State. Coming into this season, nobody expected Golden State to go anywhere. And I said coming into the season that Golden State would be a team, they would have a good season if they just made it to the play-in tournament. Now, if everything holds serve and they stay where they at, they would make the play-in tournament. But I don't see the Golden State Warriors. I don't see the Golden State Warriors, making it a fight for somebody like the Spurs or the Thunder, because Thunder, we already know the Thunder, best case scenario for them is another trophy. And the Spurs, best case scenario for them right now is the Western Conference Finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder. For the Golden State Warriors, it's all about trying to keep players healthy for the playoffs, because the Golden State Warriors, they are the third oldest team in the NBA. And I'm going to show y'all their roster again. Their average age on this roster, as you can see, look at this. You got Jimmy Butler, 36. Seth Curry, 35. Stephen Curry, 37. Draymond Green, 35. Al Horford, 39. And then you have a few players that are in their mid to late 20s, but the majority of the people who are on the Golden State Warriors are 30 and above. 30 and above, and we all know that the Warriors, they are a team that is going to have to build through the draft. You're going to have somebody who is going to take the torch once Steph Curry retires. Now, Steph Curry, he's already coming back next season. He wants to be in the three-point shooting contest, and I believe he will. So, I'm just going to say this. Future outlook for the Golden State Warriors after Steph Curry retires, whether that's in 2028, 2029, or 2030, the Golden State Warriors, they are going to drop a little bit. But if I'm the Golden State Warriors and their general manager right now, I am looking for the next player that can fill the void that Steph Curry is going to leave once he retires. Because credit, we are not going to see another player like Steph Curry, a player that can just dribble the ball past half court and hit a three-point shot like that, like it's nothing. We are not going to see that no more ever in this lifetime. Maybe in another lifetime we'll see that, but as far as this lifetime, we are not going to see that. We aren't. So if I'm Golden State, you are going into a transitional phase. Steph Curry is going to retire. Draymond Green, I don't know if he is going to have 3 more years left. But if I'm Draymond Green, I would become a head coach. Well, excuse me, not a head coach, but I would join the coaching staff of the Golden State Warriors. Kind of like what Udonis Haslem for the Miami Heat did after he retired from the NBA. Retired from the Miami Heat. He is now a Miami Heat team consultant, and he is also a team developer. And I believe Draymond Green, no matter how anybody feels about Draymond Green is a great player. He is. And he is a great team developer. When it comes to developing personal players, well, the average player, Draymond Green, he can do that. And I believe he has a career in coaching. He does. Now, let's get to the depth chart. The depth chart for the Golden State Warriors consists of Steph Curry, Milton, Moses Moody, Guy Santos, and Draymond Green. So that's your five. And we all know that Steph Curry is out. He is listed as day-to-day. So you got to have somebody to fill the shoes in Steph Curry's absence. And see, that is why I say that the Golden State Warriors, they are spread it so thin right now to where you can't have Steph Curry out for a significant amount of time. Because if you have him out for, let's say, today is February 17th, so if he's out for another 2.5, 3 weeks, that's like, I would say March 8th or March 9th. And he would only have, let's say, about 12 to 15 games to come back for the play-in tournament. And it's not a foregone conclusion that the Golden State Warriors will win their play-in tournament game if it just so happens to be the Portland Trail Blazers. And as you can see, the Golden State Warriors lineups outside of Steph Curry, where you gonna get consistent scoring from? Because most of their players average 10 to 15 points a game. And once you get into the playoffs, I always say this, playoff basketball, you're always going to have to step up and do double. If you average 10 points in the regular season, you're going to have to average 20 points in the playoffs. And for anybody that averages 20 points in the regular season, you are going to have to average at least 25 to 30 points in the playoffs for you to win a playoff series, because you're facing against the best teams in the NBA when it comes to playoff time. And arguably, after the first round, you are facing the complete and ultimate best in the NBA. Now, we all know that the first round playoff matchups, those are those weak teams that, got in the playoff round, got into the playoffs on the last day of the season, or they got in through the play-in tournament. But now, Golden State Warriors, how many more wins does I'm just gonna say this before I give my future outlook for the Golden State Warriors for the rest of this season? How many more wins do the Golden State Warriors? How many more games do the Golden State Warriors win this season? So you all can say that in the chat, or you can say that, in a message, whatever you think. Because Golden State Warriors, I don't see them making it very far. And as far as from a historical context, Golden State Warriors, they've had a championship drought. Before Steph Curry got there, the championship drought was 40 years. Now, the Golden State Warriors, it's been 5 years since they won a championship. And I wouldn't necessarily call that a drought, but we are in a league where it's all about what have you done for me lately. Golden State Warriors have been getting knocked out of the play-in tournament 3 times out of the last 4 years. You got Steve Kerr getting into shouting matches with Draymond Green, and Draymond Green getting into shouting matches with everybody on the team. And I believe that Golden State is getting to their wits end with Draymond Green. I believe Steve Kerr, he's getting to his wits end with Draymond Green. And I believe that the Golden State Warriors general manager, it's just time to have a new big three at the helm, because Steph Curry, he only has 2 or 3 years left. Jimmy Butler, we don't know how much time he has left. Draymond Green, it seems like his scoring output over the last 7 years has dwindled ever since they won the championship. And now we're getting to the rest of the team on this list, well, the rest of the players on this list, that you have 7 players that are on the Warriors who are all under 30. The Warriors, they need to build around those players, or if they don't see those players fit in the foundation for the future of the Warriors, just trade them. Just trade them. And as I'm going to give y'all historical context about the Golden State Warriors, how the team started out, where it started out, and I'm going to give y'all something for a present day. So the Warriors, as a franchise, they started out in Philadelphia back in 46 and 47. Around this time, it was not the NBA, it was the BAA, Basketball Association Authority. Well, excuse me, Basketball American Association. That's what it was. So 46, 47, the Warriors, they win the finals over the Stags. Then we get to 47, 48. They lose the finals versus the Bullets. We get to 48, 49. They lose to the Capitals. And then we get to the middle of the 1950s, where the Warriors, they won their first ever NBA Finals championship in 1956. And the head coach was George Sineski. So now we get to the 60s. The 60s, it was a tough time because they didn't get to the finals in this decade. And if they did, well, 63 and 64, the Warriors got to the finals, but they lost to the Celtics. And for the rest of the 60s and early 70s, they did make the finals, but they did not win a championship. And then in the early 70s, in 71 and 72, they moved from Philadelphia to Oakland and became the Golden State Warriors. And that is where they currently reside at. That's where they currently reside at, in Oakland. But a little bit later on, when I get down to 2018, 2019, they did make a transition. So now, early 70s, we get to the early 70s as a breaking point for the decade. The Warriors, they won championship in 75 versus the Bullets. And when we come to the late 70s, early 80s, they didn't do too much. And on top of that, when we get to the 90s, it was pretty much the lost decade of the Golden State Warriors, because the Golden State Warriors, they did not get past the first round in this decade. They didn't. And we get to the early 2000s. 2000 to 2010, the Warriors only made the playoffs once. But in 2009, 2010, they drafted Steph Curry, and we get to present day with Steph Curry at the helm. 2013, I knew that this team with Steph Curry at the helm, they were on their way. Now, once we get to, because in 2013, the Warriors lost to the Spurs. Then 2014, the Warriors lost to the Clippers. We get to 2015 where they face the Cavaliers and they win versus the Cavaliers. So that was Steph Curry's first championship. Then we get to 2016, where they lose a 3-1 lead to the Cavaliers. We already know how that ended. 2017, this is where Kevin Durant comes in at. They win the championship. Then they do a repeat the following year in 2018, win the championship. 2018 and 19, they get to the finals, lose to the Toronto Raptors. Nobody expected the Toronto Raptors to win that finals. I certainly didn't. Then they go into a 2-year drought where they didn't make the playoffs at all, 2021 and 22. They get back to the finals and win over the Celtics. Then 23, 22, and 23, they lose to the Lakers in the conference semis. 23-24, they didn't make the playoffs. 24 and 25, they made the playoffs, but it was a gentleman's sweep last year in the playoffs versus the Timberwolves. So now, everybody, we get the present day. We get the present day, and as of right now, the Warriors are they sit at the number 8 spot in the West. And we see their schedule. The Golden State Warriors' remaining schedule is tough. And when I tell y'all tough, they coming out of the gates. Thursday, they play Boston. And then they play the Denver Nuggets. Then you play the Los Angeles Lakers on February 28th. That's the following Saturday. Then you play the Clippers, the Rockets, the Thunder. And then we get to the middle part of March where you face the Minnesota Timberwolves, New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics, Detroit Pistons, and then you face, at the end of March, you face Denver, San Antonio, Cleveland, Houston, and then for the last 4 games of the season, you play Sacramento twice, and you play both LA teams once. So, what do I see for the Golden State Warriors for the rest of the season? I can see the Golden State Warriors winning another 25 games, ending 53, 54 win season. And like I said, 54 wins in the West. 54 wins in the West, that is a lot of wins, but anybody can come out of the West. The West is so superior than the East right now, because when it comes to the West, you can have 8 teams that can come out of the West and make it to the NBA Finals. Rather, in the East, you only have a handful of teams that can come out of the East. So, when I talk about the Warriors, the best case scenario for the Warriors is winning in the play-in tournament. And the worst case scenario for the Warriors is not making it to the play-in tournament at all. So it's not much great area for the Golden State Warriors at all. Plus, does Steve Kerr come back for next season? That's the question. That's the question we all are looking for. That's the question that is going to be answered in the offseason. Because if Steve Kerr isn't with the Warriors, then obviously that means that they are going in a different direction. And there's another question that we have to ask. Is Steph Curry going to retire after next season if Steve Kerr is not the head coach? for the Warriors because Steve Kerr has been Steph Curry's longest tenured head coach. He has. And like I said, we all know that there's change that is going to come, and we all know that change is going to come. That's a part of life. But the Warriors of yesteryear and the Warriors of 7, 8 years ago, those teams have been long gone. They have been. And Golden State is now just an average team with an elite three-point shooter on the team. That's all Steph Curry is. Now, Steph Curry, he's already a Hall of Famer in my book. No matter how his career ends, first ballot Hall of Famer no matter what. But life after Steph Curry, what are the Golden State Warriors going to do? Because Golden State, they are not in Oakland anymore. They are in San Francisco, across the bay. And nobody, and I do mean nobody, is going to come to the Warriors. Because the Warriors and not just the Warriors, but the state of California, taxes out there are downright rambunctious. Downright rambunctious. So, what I am going to say is, Golden State Warriors, this is a time where they can improve as a team because the NBA the NBA is always in a better place when teams like Golden State, Boston, the Lakers, also the Miami Heat, the New York Knicks are all good teams. Those are the teams, those are the matriarchs of the NBA. They are. And if one of those teams aren't doing good, it really doesn't make the NBA look good. So with that is my remaining season outlook for the Golden State Warriors. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports. We have also just eclipsed over 300,000 viewers right here on YouTube under Keytime Sports. So please, please, please keep watching, and we are going to be doing bigger and better things on this channel. Also, Key City Sports on Instagram and the KeyOnMillions.co. Here is my media feed. Here is my profile so that you will know it's me. And here is my merchandise. Here is my merchandise, and the merchandise is live. You can go and purchase you a shirt, or you can go and purchase you a hoodie. We are going to be rolling out more merchandise as the year goes along. And remember, everybody, one last thing. The key is always on time.